everyone, Anthony here. Welcome back to another video. And it's been a while since I posted a video on the YouTube channel because I've been busy building the Cash Collector Wealth Protector online webinar. That actually happened on Thursday evening. If you want to get access to the recording of the webinar, it was a free online webinar, but I am asking for those who were not able to attend to essentially buy me a coffee, and I will send you the link to the recording, and then you could watch that on your own time. A number of things that were so key in the webinar. One of the things that we're talking about in the newsletter is just how much info that I actually crammed into this hour-and-a-half presentation. One of the things that we talked about was how to buy gold and silver, a number of different assets and things that you could purchase that would actually outperform a savings account. These are some things that you could actually buy on a brokerage account that actually pay interest, but won't tank alongside the S&P 500 as the S&P 500 continues this decline. We're down about 7 or 8%, I guess, on the S&P 500 on the year, and I'm seeing another 4% to the downside for sure. But there are uncorrelated assets that actually allow you to actually collect a dividend in a brokerage account. So if you're interested in getting that information, then hit the link in the description. I guess I will put the link to the Buy Me a Coffee app, and then you could just send over a couple bucks and get access to the webinar. You just need to include some way for me to actually contact you. There's so much we went over in that webinar, packed full of value for you. And if you reach out to me, then I'll get you that link. Also, I'm sending it out to all the paid subscribers on my Substack as well. So one of the things that I wanted to go over in this quick update, because I'm writing about this in the newsletter, and I think it's going to be helpful for people to understand via like a visual support. So if you hop over to my screen here, we're looking at the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust. So the ticker on this is SRUUF. This is a trade that I opened up to all subscribers. Generally, I will only reserve the paid tier of Metals and Momentum on Substack to get access to these trade notifications. But in this case, I opened up this trade because I thought it was kind of interesting, and then it shows you what we do on the paid tier of Metals and Momentum on Substack. So what I was seeing on the chart here is this giant cup and handle pattern that's kind of playing out. So far we just have the cup playing out right now. Eventually we'll probably get some sort of handle that's formed around here. But the max upside here is pretty amazing. So I want to go through it just from the very beginning, just in case you haven't seen me talk about this potential trade that we have going on here. But generally, what we were looking at is this massive cup pattern that is playing out. And we've seen that pullback happen from the peak right up here. This pullback is probably going to continue up in like this general direction right here. And from this peak down to here, this is a significant decline. Let me grab this right here and we can take a look. So we've declined about 23% so far from this peak right up here. Let's maybe lower that. So 22% from the peak right here. But this is that next support line, or I guess resistance line that we have here. This is my first price target on SRUUF. That's going to be 25.15 right up top here. And if we just reverse from where we are right now, from here to here, this is 30, let's call this 31% to the upside, which is pretty unbelievable. That is my first target. But what you could also see in this, actually, let me bring that back. What you could also see in this chart right here is you actually have an inverse head and shoulder pattern. Now it did break, but check this out. We got, this is the shoulder, this is the head, and then you got another kind of awkward kind of point right here. So maybe it's more like this. there's that shoulder, and then you get the breakout right here, which is really interesting because you never really see inverse head and shoulder patterns inside a cup pattern. And I thought that was really interesting. Now, this head and shoulders pattern, it has broken back to the downside. So we got that breakout right here. We saw the run up and then a break downward. So the head and shoulders is not really in play at the moment here, but we are still left with this cup that is actually kind of playing out. And when I first sent out the very first trade notification, I said to myself, what are the parameters for this investment that I'm trying to make here? Well, I want to cut the loss if we break that 200-day moving average. And we have came right back to this 200-day moving average, but we haven't actually closed below it and then actually confirmed. So this is still very much in play. And what I'm noticing right now is because we've had such a massive downside kind of movement here, we're kind of forming this channel right here. I'm just going to even just use this right here. And I'll expand it out so that way you can see right here. There's like this little channel now forming. We're at the very, very beginning of this channel, so we've had some sideways chop here. But what I'm thinking is like the S&P 500 is down like 1.3%, and for the last little while, when the S&P 500 is falling, so has everything else, including SRUUF. So that's the only reason why we're down near the 200-day moving average, is because the S&P 500 has just been falling, and everybody's kind of just like freaking out and trying to figure out ways to like reposition as like oil starts like spiking and it's been going through the roof. Essentially every day that oil has been up, the S&P 500 has been down. And that's kind of how it went. We got a little spike lower on oil, and then in that day we have the same move upward in the S&P 500. And then same goes with SRUUF. We have that like first like dip in oil, and you can see this green candle has actually popped upward, and that is moving alongside oil as well. So this is kind of correlated, but like I said, at a certain point in time, there's going to be a number of people selling initially, but eventually I'm thinking you're probably going to run out of sellers at some point in time, and the price target that I had on the very downside, max downside, was just under that 200-day moving average. It was actually 1855. That was where I was kind of estimating that, you know, that 200-day moving average would kind of creep up to, and then we'd probably bounce off of that. So right now we're at the 200-day moving average. We're experiencing a little bit of a lift, and what I find super interesting is that the S&P 500 is down a fair amount today, like 1.2, 1.3%. That's pretty decent for a single move down, like single day down on the S&P 500. But what we're seeing right now is SRUUF is actually experiencing quite a big jump upward. Let me just actually measure. Like, look at this long wick from the very top. Let's just go to like where we are right here. This is a 6.23% bounce on a day that the S&P 500 is actually down, which is pretty, that's pretty crazy. So it had me thinking like, maybe what we're seeing right now is maybe what's happening is we have run out of sellers on SRUUF, and majority of the people who want to sell are maybe have already sold, and what is happening is you're only really left with buyers. And I'm going to pull up the volume. The volume on here is super light, but like look at this small like little green candle. This is the volume chart, and you can see that it's just like pretty light volume today. 86.27K. That's pretty light, and that's sending the SRUUF Uranium Trust up 6%. This has kind of got me thinking like, maybe we are bottoming out here, and this actually aligns perfectly with the initial plan that I had laid out for SRUUF, which is super interesting. So the max upside here to our first target is 30%, but you can actually use this head and shoulders pattern, and all you essentially do with a head and shoulder inverse head and shoulder pattern, that is you're taking the very low of the head to essentially what is like the neckline, and that is something like this. And then all you would do is just take this, move it up to the top of the neckline, and now you get a second target. And that is my second target at 28.45, which is quite high. So if we measure this out here, this is the info line from about where we are here today to our second target. That is a 48% increase. And what makes this trade so interesting, and I just want to caveat this by saying, I'm not 100% in this. Like, although this trade setup looks fantastic, we could still break that 200-day moving average, let's say something like next week. So I'm not 100% into this trade. My portfolio is very risk averse right now. Ever since like the top in the S&P 500, once that started to top out and curl downward, I got very defensive. I said, we're probably going to experience about a 10% drop in the S&P 500 or so. And I called for that at the very beginning of the year. So although this trade setup looks really good, and like this is not all, that's my, like right here is my first target. This is my second target. But we also have a third target because this measurement from the neckline of the head and shoulders pattern that we just drew out, this takes us to the second target right here. But there's still that cup and handle kind of pattern in play. So if we take let's call this like the base, the very bottom of the cup to the very, let's call it like the lid of the cup, right? Like this is our lid in this cup pattern that I have highlighted in yellow right here. If we take the very bottom to the lid, you could actually measure that projected move upward as well. And this is where things start to get a little crazy. I don't know if this could actually happen, but it might. You just take that measurement and this gives you a third target, and that is right here at 37.56, somewhere around there. And from where we are here today, this move is just like staggering. Like, let's take from here all the way up to our third target. This is max upside here, right here. That is a 95.9% increase. Could we get there? Absolutely, because the cup pattern is going to play out over a very, very long period of time. And what I actually started to notice, if I go to SRUUF, this is the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust. You could check this out on their website. And this is what I sent out to subscribers a little while ago via a trade notification. So look at this. Oh my gosh, it's gotten even larger discount. So this is the net asset value right here. So we can see it's 2026. That's what the assets that SRUUF is currently holding is worth 2026 per share. But then if you look at the share price as like where we are here today, I'm just going to jump up and zoom right in. So we can see the shares are trading for 1923, and the net asset value is 2026 per share. So there is a premium or a discount applied to that overall asset, right? So right now the discount is negative 7.35%. So that's essentially like paying, what is that? 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's paying 93 cents for $1 worth of goods. This is not only becoming an amazing trade setup, but it's also becoming a huge value play as well. And I love just looking at these like basic numbers. Like this is like so easy to find, right? Like this, anybody could go look at this, but they don't understand what that premium versus discount is. They don't understand like net asset value. What does the net asset value actually mean? Well, all the goods that are being held with Sprott under the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust is worth $20.26 per share, but the stock is trading for under $20 right now. And that's where you get that discount to the NAV. So I think this is not only a pretty amazing trade setup, it's also becoming a value play. And like, I initially said that rule, you know, if it breaks the 200-day moving average or 1855, that's where I'm going to cut that loss. But I'm looking at that value and I go, I would love to trade 93 cents for $1 worth of goods. And if that goes lower, I would love to trade 80 cents for $1. That'd be crazy in like a market crash. Like if the market just continues to tank and SRUUF starts to get like taken down with it, then you're going to be able to get that discount of like 80 cents for like $1 worth of goods. That's how I'm kind of thinking about this right now. And although, you know, I will stick to this 1855 kind of level, but the value here is getting very interesting. And I think it's so useful when you get like the visual support along with the newsletter. So I'm going to quickly edit this video. I'm going to post it in the newsletter. So that way, you know, you can watch this alongside reading Metals and Momentum. If you're not a subscriber on Substack, join me, Metals and Momentum on Substack. I'll link it down in the description. And like I said, if you buy me a coffee, I will send you the recording of the Cash Collector Wealth Protector online webinar that happened this week. It was an hour-and-a-half presentation on you know, getting started and actually taking action with the newsletter that, you know, I provide with people. There's a free tier of the newsletter. There's a paid tier. The paid tier is $9 a month. Very reasonable for what you get here because there is a lot of value packed into the newsletter. And just this week, this past week, I'll show you this because I'm literally building the newsletter right now. We always do like a trade and investment recap, and some of the trades that we actually took on was BBU. We played that for a bounce. That we made 5% in like, I think it was like a few days or something like that. And we even actually traded this multiple times in the past, just recently. So we made 5% on BBU this week. And then we also were short oil when Donald Trump made that tweet. And that was something that I talked about in a trade notification. So we made 6% on in like a couple days, being short oil. That was just like like crazy easy money. And then on top of that, we've opened up our SRUUF for all subscribers, so you guys can get an idea of what we do behind the paywall of Metals and Momentum. So please hit the links down below and let me know if there's anything else that you are following in the comments down below, and maybe I'll take a look. So thanks so much for watching, and that's where I'm going to leave it. We'll see you in the next one.